Musk is making good on his promise to honor Sunday's poll, confirming he'll resign from his post after more than 57% of people voted for him to step down. He said, quote, "I will resign as CEO as soon as I find someone foolish enough to take the job. After that, I will just run the software and service teams." Some are shocked to see him walk away, but Musk has hinted his stint as CEO wouldn't last long. Now, during a trial in Delaware last month, he testified that working as Twitter's CEO was taking the majority of his time, adding in part, quote, "I expect to reduce my time at Twitter and find somebody else to run Twitter over time." Now, Musk was called in for testimony about Tesla's compensation packages, where he also floated the possibility of having a successor take over the electric car maker's day-to-day operations.
Yeah, and that's not all. There was also a new round of Twitter files released yesterday. What did they say?
That's right. The new Twitter files were released yesterday, the 8th round of Twitter files, and they detailed how the social media company quietly helped out the Pentagon by boosting its propaganda efforts in the Middle East. Now, independent journalist Lee Fang kicking off the thread, writing, quote, "Despite promises to shut down covert state-run propaganda networks, Twitter documents show that the social media giant directly assisted the U.S. military's influence operations." Now, the thread also details how in 2017, a U.S. Central Command official sent Twitter a list of more than 50 Arab language accounts used by the Pentagon to, quote, "amplify certain messages." Fang spoke to a Twitter official who says he was deceived by the operation, adding, "Still, many emails from throughout 2020 show that high-level Twitter executives were well aware of the Department of Defense's vast network of fake accounts and covert propaganda and did not suspend the accounts." And guys, that network of accounts is accused Iran of threatening Iraq's water security, sending crystal meth into the country, and harvesting the organs of Afghan refugees.
Today is Wednesday, December 21st, 2022. Merry Christmas. The FBI paid Twitter to censor Americans. Twitter allowed Pentagon to create fake accounts for military psyops, and Arizona judge rules 2 of Kari Lake's election challenge claims can go to trial. Breaking updates on this show. My name is Benny Johnson, and this is The Benny Show. Merry Christmas. Once again, you'll see in the Stay-Based studios that we have put up Christmas decorations. We have a tree right there. We have a tree right over here. Look at this. Look at our sweet decorations. Okay. All right. We are loving Christmas. We love sweet baby Jesus, the baby Christ, is here to save us and to redeem the world. And of course, we would never use Jesus as a metaphor for anything other than the purest and most wonderful of salvation. However, as Jesus came to defeat evil on this world and to defeat evil in this planet, which has always existed, so we continue the fight, ladies and gentlemen, to defeat evil. And the number one way to defeat evil is to tell the truth, to expose the lies, and to expose the author of all lies. And boy, oh boy, are there a lot of lies out there. And Elon Musk is exposing them, and we expose them all weekend at America Fest. We were so excited at America Fest to be this is why we didn't have the show the last 2 days. We were out in Phoenix. We were out in Arizona. Maybe next year we'll probably bring the infrastructure for the show and do the show live. But as you know, we are building here in Tampa. We have no corporate sponsorship, right? Like, this show is built by you, for you. We talk about the events and the news that you want to talk about, and we are really working on some very cool stuff to incorporate your comments into the show and to incorporate what you want to see into the show. If you want to help the show out before we get started here today, please subscribe. Please simply like and subscribe the show. We ain't gonna ask you for money. We know times are hard. We know Joe Biden is president. We know everyone who is running our country are complete and total degenerate clown shows. They're mentally ill, and these people don't know how to run an economy. They literally lie to you about economic numbers. So all we ask for free, click like, click subscribe, share the video. That's what we asked. You could do that, be an early Christmas present for us. At America Fest, the vibe was so hype. The vibe was so real. 10,000 plus people in an arena that serves as like a sports arena, right? This is the Phoenix Convention Center. They do basketball games there, they do hockey matches there, whatever. Like, it's such a great event. It's hard to describe. It is as robust and as vivacious and as energy-filled as any music festival It is so passionate and powerful and joyous, and we were excited to bring the joy to the people. It looked a little bit like this.
I don't know when. I'm stuck in Folsom Prison, and time keeps dragging on. But that train keeps rolling. All down the van and dog. All down the van. When I was just a baby, my mama told me, son, always be a good boy. Don't ever play with guns.
Okay, two things here. One, very glad I've been working on my love handles if I'm going to show everyone what my backside looks like. Two, that's not the point, nor was it the point to do some dad dancing in there. We were just ready to bring the energy. A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away, I was a student activist sitting in those seats at those events, and I was bored off of my ass. Okay, there it is. There's the one curse. Ladies and gentlemen, I was so bored at these conservative events, and I'm not going to name the organizations. God bless them. There was no Turning Point USA when I was coming up, and so I just would sit there and I would say, man, if I'm going to have a career doing this, if I'm going to go in and I'm going to be somebody who gets an opportunity, the extreme responsibility and the extreme blessing in life to stand in front of people and to deliver a message, then I'm going to do it joyfully. I'm going to be a happy warrior. I'm going to proclaim my beliefs without being scared of. We're going to speak the truth. We're going to spit the truth, especially around Christmas time. And so here we are, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a blessing of a year, truly, on this show. And we just thank all of you so very much. And everyone who attended America Fest, you know, if you were there in the room, man, that is a special event. We thank Turning Point USA for putting it on. We are honored to have been part of the team that built this house at Turning Point USA. Man, I don't know, man, ALX, what is it, 4 or 5 years, 6 years we've been with Turning Point USA in various capacities, but always there to bring the energy for the students and the people and for you, like we do every single day on the show. And it's wonderful to do it in real life, IRL. And so we say, God bless you and thank you. God bless Elon Musk! Proving that the FBI actually paid Twitter to censor Americans, in case you're wondering if this organization should be atomized and scattered to the wind. Yes, the FBI is beyond saving. That's true. This is, of course, in total and complete violation of their First Amendment duties. It is an abomination to the existence of any federal bureaucracy. I don't care where you work. Are you working in sanitation, or are you working at the head of the FBI? Are you working as the head of the CIA? You are not allowed to violate our constitutional rights, but the FBI not only was doing that, they were paying to violate our constitutional rights. The FBI paid Twitter $3.5 million to do its bidding. Taxpayers' money was used to process requests from the Bureau amid Hunter Biden's censorship scandal as anger grows over secret state censorship of American people. Yo, what happened here? The FBI, according to the Daily Mail, handed nearly $3.5 million in taxpayer money to Twitter to pay its staff to handle requests from the Bureau as it sought to ban accounts. The Twitter employees wrote on February 2020 email, read that wrong, that the company's safety and content law enforcement had collected $3.4 million in less than 2 years from the FBI's law enforcement agency-related projects. The email, which were revealed by journalist Michael Schellenberger, stated that Scale, which was the safety, content, and law enforcement part of Twitter, had a reimbursement program in exchange for devoting staff hours to processing requests from the FBI. The email was entitled, "Run the Business, We Made the Money." So they're bragging about the FBI paying them to censor Americans. Everybody involved in this needs to go to Guantanamo Bay. Everyone involved in this, and not the Guantanamo Bay in Cuba. I'm talking about the new Guantanamo Bay that Elon Musk is going to build with SpaceX on the moon. That's where these people need to go. They need to go to Moontanamo Bay, up on another planet. That's how bad these people have behaved. You got to scatter this place to the winds. The FBI is beyond saving. Twitter initially believed that the Hunter Biden laptop story was Russian disinformation. It was revealed Monday that Jim Baker, Twitter's top lawyer and ex-FBI general counsel, LOL, funny how that happens, personally intervened and said it should be banned. Baker told Yoel Roth, Twitter's head of security, that the laptop story should be blocked a day after getting a top-secret briefing from former FBI colleagues. He wrote, "There are some facts that indicate the materials have been hacked. We simply need more information." Interesting that, considering that the FBI had been in possession of Hunter Biden's laptop since 2018. The FBI had Hunter Biden's laptop for many years. They knew that this was going to drop. How did they know? Because they were reading the emails of reporters and Rudy Giuliani. Again, scatter them to the winds. Atomize them. We went on to write, "I'm guessing we were going to restrict access to the article as a violation of our hacked materials policy. Current CEO Elon Musk said the emails, the government paid Twitter millions of dollars to censor information from the public." In the previous dump, journalist Matt Taibbi tweeted, "Twitter's contact with the FBI was constant and pervasive, as if it was a subsidiary, as if it was being run by the FBI. People thought that Elon Musk was buying a company. What he was really doing is buying an FBI organ. This was like a fire sale of government material." This happens, by the way. There's a organization called GSA, Government Services Association, and you can go on there right now and you can bid for tanks. You can bid for islands that the government owns. No joke. You can buy lighthouses from the federal government. When the federal government is done using material, whether it be like wartime material or whether it be infrastructure material, they literally put it up for auction. There's a rule that they have to auction it back to the public, essentially, who paid for it, to the top bidder. So essentially what Elon Musk did was he bought a government service agency auction, because Twitter was essentially just a FBI usage tool to control and to psyop you and to control the information that you can know. In response to the latest developments, House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy said in an appearance on Mornings with Maria, we are going to do more than just subpoena them. We're going to make changes at the FBI today. This is why it's so evil what Mitch McConnell, the barbarous traitor, who also belongs on Moon Guantanamo Bay. Moontanamo Bay. I'm going to come up with a better name than that. But Mitch McConnell needs to go also to the Galapagos turtle exhibition at the Moontanamo Bay on the moon. Mitch McConnell to the moon! Send him there, baby, because he is such an absolute jackal. When are we going to get the stones and the spine and the balls as a party to simply stop the charade and call Mitch McConnell what he is, a Democrat? Mitch McConnell is just a time-traveling Democrat from 2010. He's just the same Democrat as they had a Democrat Party of 2010. Mitch McConnell is a Democrat. Mitch McConnell is not a Republican. It is a farce that he is a Republican leader. It is an insult to you and to me who donate and support the Republican Party, whose time and effort and labors and what we build go to support the infrastructure of our movement, that Mitch McConnell gets to claim that he is a leader of that movement. Mitch McConnell, of course, and we will get to later in the show, has passed a $1.7 trillion funding spree at the behest of Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer. They wrote it in a back room, slapped it on Mitch McConnell's shell. Mitch McConnell, munching lettuce, just essentially shrugged it off his shell and got it passed in the Senate with bipartisan, broad support of Republicans. What is going on in the Republican Senate, man? What is wrong with these people? These cretins, these absolute fossils. These people, they're cursing their country and their grandchildren. So what this means is essentially that McCarthy won't be able to negotiate on a budget until a year from now, which is where this kind of oversight would come from the FBI. If you want a real oversight of the FBI, you just go yank and you pull the purse strings. You say you're not getting any cash anymore. You get no more money. You didn't get no more money until you come in here and you show us the changes you've made to ensure that this never happens again. That's how you actually cause pain for these people. You defund them, obviously. And so what Mitch McConnell is doing is actually taking away and reinforcing the ability to censor Americans for the FBI. Mitch McConnell, again, this man needs to be, deported back to the Galapagos or to the Moon Guantanamo Bay. Here's the breaking news clip of what was happening inside of the FBI and the wholly owned subsidiary of Twitter.com.
And the latest batch of the Twitter files shows how bad it's gotten. Right before the 2020 election, the FBI was telling Twitter to censor the biggest story of the election. They didn't want you to know that the Democrat nominee for president and his son were engaged in an international pay-to-play scheme. The FBI wanted Twitter to just lie and call it a Russian hack and dump op, even though Twitter couldn't find any evidence of it. Did it matter? Of course not. The feds were on a mission to get Trump out of the White House, so they paid Twitter over $3 million to bury it. Where'd the money come from? Well, it's your money, taxpayer money the feds used to keep you from knowing the truth. And on top of that, weeks before the Post dropped the October surprise, social media executives were even flying out to Aspen for a Hunter Biden seminar where they workshopped what to do in the imaginary scenario of the release of records that show Joe Biden's son was paid millions by a Ukrainian energy company.
You pick that up? So they knew this was going to happen. They knew that this was going to drop. They knew the FBI had Hunter Biden's laptop. They were aware of its content material. They were also aware that it was real. The FBI knew all of this. And so what they were doing is, instead of releasing that information or investigating that information or investigating the crimes found therein on the laptop, they were actively workshopping and using game theory with Twitter executives for what would happen when that laptop information dropped. In case you're wondering if you're living inside of a fake world, inside of a fake republic, you are. You're not living inside of a democracy or a country that's run by competent and responsible people that swear oaths to anything other than themselves and to their own religion. And it's a religion, as we have talked about here. And we haven't named the religion. We need to name the religion. But it's a religion for people that don't believe in Jesus Christ. That's what it is. It's a religion for people that believe in their own power on this earth, that they are themselves gods, that there is no God, that they are the gods, and that they get to make up the rules as they go along. And of course, that is unconstitutional. It's our right to make sure that those people have no power. It's our right, it's our obligation to our heritage, to our founding in this country, if you read the founding documents, to ensure that governments like that do not stand. It's hard to keep the outrage going. I mean, to be quite honest with you, again, like, everyone needs a break. Like, it's Christmas time. People need a break. It's hard to keep the outrage going. But here we go, all the way up to Jesus' birthday. We're sitting here learning these bombshells. And this story, I mean, it just gets worse and worse and worse. Elon Musk, of course, tweeting a poll over the weekend, made a lot of news saying that he should step down as CEO if people voted that he should step down, and 57% said yes. A little strange that. Elon Musk went ahead and amended the policy that maybe only Twitter verified or Twitter blue people can vote in polls in order to stop mobs of bots from swarming the polls. But apparently Elon Musk is going to step down. I'll resign as CEO as soon as I find someone foolish enough to take the job. After that, I'll run the software and server teams. You know, Elon Musk, everyone was celebrating this. Elon Musk still owns Twitter. You do understand that, lizard people, don't you? Like, Elon Musk still owns Twitter. He went and bought a big chunk of the FBI. That's what he did. He went and bought a big chunk of the FBI. And in case you're wanting to put this into perspective, in this bill that Mitch McConnell is sending back to the House for it to get ratified again, I mean, I don't think Republicans have a chance of blocking this thing in the House if Democrats stand united, because these are lame duck sessions. Again, this is so evil. But in case you're wondering, just for context, we're getting $45 billion to Ukraine. That's less than what Elon Musk paid for Twitter. So everyone's screaming about Elon Musk paying for Twitter, and we're giving that amount of money to Ukraine. To do what? Secure their own border. And you know what's specifically written in this bill that we're not allowed to do? Secure our own border. You know, it's insane. They fund Border Patrol, but they aren't allowed to use any of that money to secure the border. Clown world. It's a clown world. It's a nation with people who are running it, who are subscribed to a very specific and very dangerous religion. It's a religion of themselves, where they themselves are the deity, where they are the clergy, people like Dr. Fauci in his little robes. And those are the ones who make all the rules. It's very, very bad. It's called hedonism, and it's certainly something you should keep an eye out for around Christmas, because now is our time, ladies and gentlemen, to fight. You do not want to live in a hedonistic society with people who are running this country outside of any constitutional bounds, outside of any moral bounds, with no moral equivalency. You don't want that. You don't want to live. You don't want to live inside of the diktats of Dylan Mulvaney and Dr. Fauci and whatever someone is telling Joe Biden and Karine Jean-Pierre, right? Who's ever pulling the strings behind Joe Biden. These people, no morals, no God, no faith in anything other than themselves. And what does that mean? It means that they're going to convert by the sword. They're like ISIS. They're going to believe in their own sick, warped reality, and they're going to utilize all power and all aggression in order to convert you and in order to weaponize against you, the American people. And that's what you're seeing here. The FBI paying to censor you. Adam Schiff was BTFO'd from Elon Musk straight from space this weekend. Adam Schiff was asked by Elon Musk, do you approve of hidden state censorship in direct violation of the U.S. Constitution? That tweet right here. Adam Schiff being literally BTFO'd by Elon Musk here. The outgoing chair of the House Intelligence Committee, did you approve hidden state censorship in direct violation to the Constitution of the United States of America? Adam Schiff. And Adam Schiff has since responded being like, oh, but do you approve of hate speech? Adam Schiff, human watermelon hybrid, watermelon head. Also destroyed again. Elon Musk was responding to Michael Schellenberger talking about how the FBI paid money to censor the Hunter Biden laptop story. A surprisingly high number are requested by the FBI for Twitter to take action on election misinformation, even involving joke tweets from low follower accounts, said that Twitter files dump. So the FBI was, as we've talked about, censoring meme accounts. In case you wonder if the memes that we make keep them up at night, they certainly do. Twitter directly assisted in U.S. military psyops. Oh, baby. It's like the 12 days of Christmas, right? This is the partridge in a pear tree. This is like a gift every single day. Where are we on like the geese? The geese. How many geese did the guy get? I don't know which one this is. But every single day there is a new drop of some type of absurd gift from Elon Musk to us about how the deep state was essentially using Twitter as a psyop. So here we go. An 8th round of Twitter files released on Tuesday with a specific focus on Twitter's role in directly assisting the U.S. military influence operation. The files were broken down by journalist Lee Fang, how Twitter quietly aided the Pentagon's covert online psyop campaign. Now, what does that mean? This is crazy, man. So if you're unfamiliar with the term psyop, what psyop means is fake information that the government and government actors put out there in order to lie to you. There's no other. That's it. That's the definition. That's the definition. America is under an alien attack. Okay? That's a good example. That if the government were to put that out in a headline and were to claim that, people would panic. And they did actually. This actually occurred. War of the Worlds, Orson Welles, back in the 1920s. People really thought America was under an alien attack due to a broadcast. So what else does or doesn't the government tell you? That's called a psyop. This is just called a psychological operation to influence you to act a certain way. And so the government was essentially not only allowed to do this on Twitter, in spite of Twitter saying that they don't allow this, but Twitter was encouraging it and verifying various accounts and whitelisting, meaning that they would promote these accounts internally and algorithmically. They would boost these accounts. There's deboosting and then there's pre-boosting. So deboosting is what they did to people like me. I've gained, according to my team, I don't know, ALX, pull the numbers. According to my team, I've gained like 700,000 followers on Twitter since Elon Musk took over. We've more than doubled our Twitter account. We're on 1.2 million. 1.2 million people follow on Twitter. Hey, thanks. We work hard on it. And we like Twitter. It's a war zone. But it shouldn't be a war zone for psyops from our federal government. The psyop from our federal government, this is what was going on. Despite promises to shut down covert state-run propaganda networks, Twitter documents show that social media giant directly assisted in the U.S. military's influence operation. Twitter has claimed for years that they make concerted efforts to detect and thwart government-backed platform manipulation. Here's Twitter testifying to Congress about its pledge to rapidly identify and shut down state-backed covert information operations. But behind the scenes, Twitter gave approval to special protections to the U.S. military's online psychological influence ops, despite knowledge that the Pentagon was using propaganda accounts to use covert identities. Twitter did not suspend many of the accounts, and some of them remain active. In 2017, a U.S. Central Command, Centcom, which is located right here in Tampa, big part of Tampa Bay you're not allowed to go on. It's called Centcom. This is their little spy operations right here in Tampa. I promise you, we are not a part of them. I promise you, we are not broadcasting from Centcom. This is not a psyop. This is the show that exposes the psyops. Although we are, unashamedly patriotic, we want our military to win, but that would mean, of course, that our military would have to act within the bounds of our own Constitution and not utilize the special protections granted to them by the deep state that exists inside of Twitter to abridge the rights of law-abiding Americans, right? So don't be a part of that operation. Our military was. A list of 52 Arab language accounts were used to amplify certain messages. The official asked for priority services for 6 accounts, verification for 1, and a whitelist ability for the others. The same day Centcom sent the list, Twitter officials used a tool to grant special whitelist tags that essentially provide verification status to accounts without the blue checks, meaning that they are exempt from spam, abuse flags, and more visible and likely to trend. The Centcom accounts on the list tweeted frequently about U.S. military priorities in the Mideast, including promoting anti-Iranian messages, promotion of the Saudi Arabian-backed war in Yemen, and accurate U.S. drone strikes that claimed only the lives of the terrorists when they fired Hellfire missiles. We know, of course, that not to be true. Barack Obama, one of the people who executed a small American boy in a drone strike. You never hear about that. You never hear about that. We clap. Barack Obama, we clap. He's uniting the world. He's lowering the levels of the ocean. We clap for him. Okay? The brain-damaged SEALs of the Democrat Party also clapping for Barack Obama, who wouldn't accept, even though he owns a 30-acre compound in Martha's Vineyard with 11 bedrooms and 7.5 bathrooms, Barack Obama wouldn't accept the 50 Venezuelan migrants that were so kindly sent there by Ron DeSantis. Ron DeSantis doing Joe Biden's job for him, sending the migrants deep into the interior of our country. Obama didn't open up his doors. So much for open borders. Open borders, sanctuary cities until they're in your sanctuary. That's how it goes, ladies and gentlemen. These people are utilizing Twitter as a psyop operation. Now, I may be inclined to want our U.S. military to be able to battle back against Iran. Iran is a state sponsor of terror. Iran is directly involved in the slaughter of American soldiers, untold numbers of American soldiers, because what essentially happened was in Iraq, a proxy war between Iranian-backed terrorist groups, and they were killing our boys. They were killing my friends. They were maiming my people. Okay, people in my generation. I'm 36. It's my generation that signed up and went and fought in Iraq and Afghanistan. And whatever you think about those wars, and I don't think very highly of them or the people who fought them from a bureaucrat's perspective, but I do think highly of my fellow American who out of their patriotic duty signed up. Those people are blameless, and they were maimed by Iran. Iran is also, of course, in bloodthirsty pursuit of a nuclear weapon in order to wipe Israel off the face of the earth. So, of course, I don't want Iran to win, but I also don't want Twitter to lie to us, and I think that the United States military should be using other tactics. For instance, how about you blow up Soleimani? That's a pretty good example of how you should be utilizing American weapons and material instead of abridging free speech and then going around on Twitter, asking Twitter to break its own rules and using Twitter essentially as an organ of the United States government. You realize that stuff's going to backfire. It's going to backfire. Even Now, the squishy leadership of the RNC, of whom I am 100% against. I was battling with the executive producers of this program today. I'm like, I'm not putting up a Ron McDaniel tweet. I'm not doing it, but we're going to do it. We're going to do it because it's newsworthy. We're going to put up the Ron McDaniel tweet, ladies and gentlemen, because the psyop stuff's insane. Even the RNC, the very, very doughy and squishy Pillsbury leadership of the Republican Party, traitorous leadership of the Republican Party, man, they are demanding that the FEC re-examine Twitter's suppression of the Hunter Biden laptop story as an illegal campaign contribution to the Democrat Party. Ron McDaniel tweeting that the FEC needs to reopen an investigation into Twitter censorship of Hunter Biden's laptop from hell, saying essentially, hey, this was an operation. That was an in-kind donation to Joe Biden. By the way, this is not an in-kind donation to Ronna McDaniel. She needs to step down, not just be defeated by Harmeet Dillon. And Harmeet Dillon, by the way, if you hadn't checked out Harmeet Dillon's speeches at America Fest, what she's been saying, yo, you got to get in there and watch. This woman must become RNC chairwoman. She must. She's been on our show. She's going to come on our show again. We must have Harmeet Dillon. Ron McDaniel should, and I'm sorry, I keep calling her by her incorrect name, Romney McDaniel. Romney McDaniel, which is her real name, Romney McDaniel needs to resign in disgrace. She should have done that months ago. As soon as the 2022 election results were in, then resign. She should resign in disgrace, but she's, broken clocks, right? 2 times a day. So she's right here. This was essentially like an operation by our federal government to promote their preferred political party. They were using Twitter to do it. They were using Twitter to do that. They were using Twitter to psyop us. I cannot get over the fact that Twitter.com is essentially working with our U.S. military to run psyops against us. Because remember, ladies and gentlemen, these may be Arab language accounts. The intention, the deceit is you. You are the people they wish to deceive. All right? And as we pull this thread, you will find that the American government itself was psyopting you. That's what this is all about. Here's the breaking news on Twitter running psyops for our military. Unbelievable.
Investigative journalist Lee Fang suggests the social media platform, quote, quietly aided the Pentagon's covert online PSYOP campaign. In a series of 21 posts, Fang details how deep the coordination went between the two entities, Fang highlighting Twitter's pledge and congressional testimony promising to shut down all state-backed covert operations, then reveals, but behind the scenes, Twitter gave approval and special protection to the U.S. military's online psychological influence ops. Despite knowledge that Pentagon propaganda accounts used covert identities, Twitter did not suspend many for around 2 years or more. Some remain active. The documentation dates back to 2017, Brett, when Centcom sent Twitter a list of 52 Arab language accounts used to amplify messages about U.S. military priorities in the Middle East. Noting the same day Centcom sent the letter, Twitter officials used a tool to grant a special whitelist tag that essentially provides verification status to the accounts without the blue check, meaning they're exempt from spam, abuse flags, more visible, likely to trend on hashtags. Fang also says some Twitter officials felt deceived, but added this part, saying still many emails from throughout 2020 show that high-level Twitter executives were well aware of DoD's vast network of fake accounts and covert propaganda and did not suspend the accounts. It was a network that pushed narratives against Iran, Russia, China, and other foreign countries, ultimately tweeting as recently as May of this year, according to Lee Fang.
So how do you know that we're over the target with this Twitter stuff? How do you know that they do not want this story to reach the normies? Well, because they're utter blackout. So the way that it works inside of a communist party, inside of a Marxist structure, which is the modern day Democrat Party and their media edifices, is you are not allowed to deviate from the official state line. That is how a Politburo works in Marxism. There are official talking points that go out. No one is allowed to say the truth. Nobody is allowed to question those talking points. And if the state doesn't want something to be real, well, you just disappear it. Stalin was perfect at this. You would just disappear. Stalin would disappear people in photos with him, of course. It's very famous. It's a meme, right? Stalin would go through, and when he didn't like members of his cabinet, he would just go through and have them erased from photos. Back before Photoshop. Very, very special little technique that the Soviets came up with there. So you would just erase people from history by not talking about it. And that's the tactic that they're using. Because they have a vertically integrated, centralized structure that doesn't break news, that is purely about propaganda, they try and simply use the tool of not talking about it. And Karine Jean-Pierre, being the dumbest apparatchik inside of this vertically integrated Marxist structure, is attempting to do the very same. So KJP was asked about the FBI censoring the Hunter Biden laptop story, and have a listen.
The latest Twitter files showed that the intelligence community was actively involved in discrediting the Hunter Biden laptop story. Does it bother the president and those at the White House that a government agency like the FBI was involved in suppressing a legitimate news story?
Again, I'm just going to refer you to the FBI. I'm not going to comment from here about that.
She's so dumb and predictable, and I wish she was in my poker club, because it would be so fun to steal all of her money. She'd be bankrupt. She'd be in the bread lines, okay, if she was playing me in poker. Because the tells are so easy with Karine Jean-Pierre. It's so simple with Karine Jean-Pierre. Whenever she gets a question she doesn't like, or she knows where the question's going and she doesn't want to answer it, she just goes, flip the page of her book, just flip the page of her book, right? Look down nervously, look up. I will refer you to the FBI. Next question. Okay, no eye contact. It's so easy. Her tells are so easy. You know when they're scared, and they're scared right now of Kari Lake. They're scared right now of Kari Lake and the news that's coming out of Arizona. So something that Donald Trump never got was ever to go to trial as it pertained to his challenges with elections. And so Kari Lake right now is getting to go to trial, according to an Arizona judge who rules that 2 of Kari Lake's election challenges may go to trial. This is some pretty shocking stuff. We're going to give you the details of it. I don't pretend to be a lawyer or anything other than somebody who deeply supports Kari Lake and somebody who deeply admires Kari Lake and who believes that Kari Lake is a gift to our party. I was also on the ground on Election Day in Maricopa. I went physically to polling locations and saw the lines, not down the street, down the road, into the supermarket parking lots. I saw the lines. I've listened to the people. I've listened to the stories. And you can look at the data for yourself. 60%, what is it, ALX? 60% of voting machines had malfunctions on the day of. They knew that Republicans, and I am guilty in this as well, Republicans, and the reason why I'm guilty in this is because I have buddies who work there as RNC chairperson, Tyler Boyer, Charlie Kirk. These are my homies, okay? I listen to them. I speak with them daily. We talk strategy, and in-person voting was the way to go. That was what they like, let's overwhelm the polls on Election Day and, defeat the algorithms. And so what'd they do? Oh, I'm sorry. Right? Right? That's what they did. 60% of the machines malfunctioning? According to the official reports, 1 in 5 locations in Maricopa County malfunctioning. So Kari Lake's getting to challenge it. Here's what she had to say at America Fest as it pertains to this challenge.
Guys, guess what? Christmas came early yesterday. Woo! We are going to trial. This is so historic, and you know what? I couldn't have done it without you. About a little over a day ago, I stood here on this stage and I said, please pray, not just for me, pray for our attorneys, pray for our witnesses, pray for the judge, my goodness. You did it, and yesterday we got great news. We're taking these bastards to trial.
Taking the bastards to trial. So what are the details? Maricopa County Superior Judge, his name's Peter Thompson, dismissed 8 out of the 10 counts of Lake's election lawsuit, ruling that they did not fall into the proper criteria to bring election challenges in Arizona law. 2 counts the judge ruled can go to trials involve printer malfunctioning on election day and ballot chain of custody. Lake claimed printers malfunctioned and were not certified and had vulnerabilities, and they also made them susceptible to hacking. She also claimed that the printers malfunctioned because of intentional action. You know what's insane about this is that you can go back. We don't have it queued up for today's show, but we'll get it later this week because we'll be covering this all week. You can go back and find Kamala Harris. There's this great clip of Kamala Harris talking about electronic voting and the capacity for hacking and the capacity for malfunctions just like this. There's a fantastic clip of it. And you have to ask yourself, why is it that most of the rest of the Western world, civilized Western world, still uses paper ballots? For instance, the communists up in Canada, who I don't like, but they use paper ballots. They use them in France, and they're able to count 30 million votes on election night in France. Why? Why is it that we're able to count 9 million votes here in Florida, night of? 9 million votes, 9 o'clock. There's your result. Boom. Rhonda Savage wins by 1 billion points. Flip a bunch of school boards. Anna Paulina Luna, new congresswoman. Done. Wash your hands of it. We're finished. The election. Move on to the next one. Don't like the results? Move on to the next one. That's what the results are. Why is it that these jackasses in Maricopa County kept it going for weeks and months? Why? And more importantly, this. I mean, I think it's time for us to do some introspection here. Who runs that state? You know, that state had a Republican governor. State had a Republican Senate. State had a Republican House. You have no one to blame but yourselves and your own weak leaders. I'm talking to me here. I'm talking to my buddies in Arizona. Like, you people, you had a free shot on goal. You could have passed an election reform law like we did in Florida here. Made it super secure with mail-in ballots. I mean, you're talking like 0 chain of custody problems. It is illegal for someone else to touch your mail-in ballot. Illegal. Fine you doing it? Jail. Not only that, Ron DeSantis makes an election crimes division in the state of Florida and then starts throwing people in jail. Straight to jail. Straight to jail. Guantanamo Bay. Ron DeSantis, like, these are the kind of things that assuade fraudulence in an election. Also, of course, if a county decides to start extending their counts, then the state has a right to take them over after 24 hours. So let's say you're trying some funny business, and you're like, oh, it's going to take us a while to count these votes. Oh, dirty. Where'd this one come from? Well, then the state will come in and stop your operation, and the state will send agents to come in and do the count for you. And then put you in prison, probably, if they're finding funny business. This is what Florida did. Arizona, you had your shot. Republican governor, Republican House, Republican Senate. You could have passed laws like this. Why didn't you? I'm pissed off at the Republicans in Arizona, to be quite honest with you. I'm furious. Blame. I hate Republicans so much more than I hate Democrats, because Democrats will stab you in the face. They're more upfront than ever about their desire to destroy this country and to destroy our children and their futures, to commit predations upon our kids and upon our election systems, and use the FBI and the superstructures of government to oppress us. They're like upfront about it. There is no outrage about it at all. FBI being paid to censor Americans, no outrage. They're like okay with it. At least they're honest. Republicans ain't honest. And the Republicans in Arizona had an opportunity to clean this up. All this that's going on right now. And they didn't. They didn't clean it up. So now it's left to Kari Lake. Here's the breaking news on the most recent update where this trial is.
Christmas came early.
Kari Lake whipped up the crowd today at a Phoenix meeting of the conservative group Turning Point USA, just as her legal team began examining election ballots, part of Lake's ongoing search for evidence to back her claims of fraud and corruption in the Arizona governor's race she lost to Democrat Katie Hobbs. In Superior Court Monday, Lake made 10 separate misconduct claims. The judge tossed out 8 of the 10, but in allowing 2 to proceed, he is giving Lake her day in court.
We are going to trial.
The two claims the judge allowed to go forward are chain of custody concerns over some ballots and an allegation that so-called ballot-on-demand printers that malfunctioned on Election Day were deliberately tampered with. The judge said he had no evidence to examine at this early stage, and he made plain that, quote, plaintiff must show at trial that the BOD printer malfunctions were intentional and directed to affect the results of the election, and that such actions did actually affect the outcome.
Okay, well, at least you're getting a trial, all right? So we say Godspeed to Kari Lake. This is what is on the line. Clearly, what happened is a threat to our democracy. And all we've ever asked for on this show is that every vote be counted, every legal vote be counted. So what can you say when there are miles and hours of testimony from Republicans who have jobs and lives, and they sit there and they go to their polling place, and by the way, the guys, it was like what, 17,000 votes? That was the margin of error. And inside of the Secretary of State race, it was like 500 votes. Maricopa County is where 60% of the state's population lives. And so when you break the machines or have non-functional voting places, people got lives. They can't stand in line for hours. They can't drive halfway across town. You ever been to Phoenix? It's like it's like little Los Angeles, and it's sprawling, like endless freeways and like flat desert. It's like goes on forever and ever and ever. The greater overall urban sprawl of Phoenix is insane. They have nothing but desert in every direction, so they just build. It's huge. It's a huge place, huge city. It's got millions of people who live there. And so if you got a job or kids at home, you can't just stand in line all day. And ladies and gentlemen, Kari Lake saying that affected the outcome of the election. We say Godspeed to her. Really strange that I'm saying this. But way to go, Kevin McCarthy. You guys know I've been blasting Kevin McCarthy. I've been blasting GOP leadership. Ronna McDaniel, you'll never hear me say a kind word about Ronna McDaniel. I think she's a broken clock. Mitch McConnell is obviously a Democrat. But Kevin McCarthy, man, coming in over the top. These senators who are helping Joe Biden and Nancy Pelosi pass this bill, even though Democrats have no more power. This funding bill, this government funding bill. They have no more power, and that Republicans could have just passed a continuing resolution, right? You could have just funded the government for a couple of weeks and let Kevin McCarthy and the new GOP take over, right? Instead, Mitch McConnell is backstabbing McCarthy, and McCarthy is turning Mitch McConnell into turtle soup here, saying that he's going to kill legislation from any Republican senator who supports the omnibus. Wow. So what this means is that if you supported this bill and you took away McCarthy's ability to use his gavel and his power to carve out the parts of this government funding bill that he doesn't like. So what they're doing is essentially taking the power away from McCarthy. People handed McCarthy power. All McCarthy needs is a few days in order to get the power to stop this bill dead and then to make this bill into something that Republicans would support, work with the Senate back and forth, and then you get yourself a proper government funding bill. McCarthy's saying, okay, well, you guys are going to play it like that. Then I'm not bringing anything that you send to me to the floor. None of you traitors, Republican traitors, get to ever have any piece of legislation on the floor. Wow. Widening cracks within the Senate. GOP were put on full display on Tuesday when House Republican leader Kevin McCarthy's threat to lawmakers in the upper chamber who supported the bipartisan omnibus funding bill. McCarthy pledged any legislation from Senate Republicans who supported the $1.7 trillion spending package would be dead on arrival in next year's GOP-controlled House of Representatives. The bill was unveiled early hours of Tuesday. House and Senate leaders have made it clear that their intention is to pass it in a matter of days, and the sooner the better, with the powerful winter storm expected to hit parts of the U.S. later this week. It includes priorities sought by both Republicans and Democrats, but conservatives had complained that the window between its unveiling and the votes leave no time to properly read the 4,000-page document. The document is larger than the Bible. The document includes funding for, of course, a wide variety of leftist grab bag gifts, $45 billion for Ukraine. That's more than the price that Elon paid for Twitter. Republicans are rightly furious about this, so furious that Rand Paul, of all people, made a Christmas movie about it, a Christmas poem reading from Rand Paul. Very rare for Sweet Rand, but we'll play it for you anyway. We thought it was very unique. Watch.
'Twas the week before Christmas, and through the Senate and House, not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. The earmarks were hung by the chimney with care, in hopes that St. Nicholas soon would be there. The senators were nestled all snug in their beds, while visions of pork danced in their heads. No budget was found, just mischief and debt, while the taxpayers hung their poor heads and wept. When out on the lawn there arose such a clatter, senators sprang from their oxygen. What was the matter? Away to the window they flew like a flash, tore open the shutters when they heard the word cash. The moon on the breast of the new-fallen snow gave the luster of midday to objects below, when what to my wondering eyes should appear but a 4,000-page omni with endless debt year after year. With a little old driver, so lively and quick, I knew in a moment it must be St. Nick. More rapid than eagles his coursers they came, and he whistled and shouted and called them by name. Now McConnell, now Schumer, now Pelosi and Vixen, on Biden, on stupid, on dumber and Blitzen. To debt, to bankruptcy, to free money for all. Now dash away, more cash for all.
Way to go, Rand. We're like sitting here in the studio watching this being like, wait, did they buy him a velvet red jacket? Does Rand Paul own a velvet red jacket? Points for creativity there for Rand Paul. Would love to book him to talk about this. 4,000 page longer than the Bible document. Of course, inside of this document, it specifically restricts the funding for DHS to secure the border. So it specifically restricts. So the funding for DHS goes straight to bringing the criminal migrants into the interior of the country and relocating them into your neighborhoods and to not securing the border. Meanwhile, there are tens of millions of dollars to secure borders for Mideastern countries and the border of Ukraine. Billions of dollars to secure borders for other countries in the world. We're not a serious country. We're not a real country. We're not a real country. When I'm Speaker, McCarthy wrote, the bills will be dead on arrival if the House passes the $2 trillion monstrosity. So, Speaker McCarthy, I guess, using will to power. What have we talked about? Will to power. McConnell told reporters at his weekly leadership conference on Tuesday that he absolutely supports McCarthy's leadership bid. McConnell also said that Republicans, the things Republicans have made very clear is that the number one priority for Republicans is the support of Ukraine. What a fraudulent liar. This man is not deserving of. And we don't think that the brand Republican has a lot of sway. Okay, it's the best we got, but he is not deserving of the title Republican. Mitch McConnell is a Democrat. He's a Democrat. The problem with a lot of this is that, and this is a major issue in our Congress right now, in the Senate specifically, is that a lot of these guys are retiring. So what they want is this is a retirement gift for themselves. Do you know that this bill is being used to build a Pelosi federal building in downtown San Francisco? We're going to be releasing a documentary on what San Francisco looks like under Nancy Pelosi's rule and tenureship. It is going to shock you to your very core what happened there. Beyond Paul Pelosi and everything else, actually, once you watch this, what happened to Paul Pelosi will make a ton of sense. We were robbed at Pelosi's doorstep. You know this? We were robbed. This show was robbed on Pelosi's doorstep. We were filming Nancy Pelosi's house for the documentary. We were on a public street. We weren't doing anything illegal. And the locations of her house are publicly available in the documents. And Royce, who's right here in the studio, the Royce cam, Royce was robbed on Nancy Pelosi's step. Very sad. Very sad. Get that Ohio State garbage off my... Get that off my show. Get that off. How dare you? How dare you? You all may have just... Let me throw the flag. That's a violation. That's a violation, ladies and gentlemen. As a proud Hawkeye, who, you know, I'm a Republican and I'm a Republican and I am a Iowa Hawkeye fan. In case you're wondering how much pain I wish for in my life and how much demoralization and humiliation that I long for. I'm not only a registered Republican, but I'm also an Iowa Hawkeye fan. So no more Ohio State has been banned from the show. Banned from the show. Just like the FBI has done with Twitter. I'm going to be the FBI in this relationship. I'm going to censor Ohio State from ever appearing on my show ever again. Good for Mitch, good for, I used to call him Mitch McCarthy, Kevin McCarthy here, but a lot of these guys are retiring. Speaking of Ohio, Ohio Senator Rob Portman is one of these guys who's retiring, being replaced by J.D. Vance, thank God. But it's these chodes who are the ones who are pushing for this like giant retirement bombshell bailout for their stupid sticky fingers. People like Roy Blunt, people like Richard Burr in North Carolina. All these people are retiring, and so they're getting one last bite of this juicy pork-filled apple. And it is, it's disgusting. It's despicable. These people, again, straight to jail, straight to Guantanamo Bay. Speaking of apples, remember CNN's little campaign? This is an apple. This is an apple. It's a fact. You can call it a banana, but yeah, well, how you like them apples? CNN CEO blasting the uninformed vitriol of the left. Yo, what's this about? Chris Licht, he's the guy who's now in charge of CNN after the takeover from Warner Brothers. They cleaned house there. He's the man who's been at the helm of CNN since February, when CNN was bought and sold, essentially on an auction block for peanuts. Some surprising proclamations during a wide-ranging interview with the New York Times, describing various decisions he has made with regard to remaking the network and making it less partisan and more reputable. He explains that the responses that came from some of the liberals have been shocking. Licht's former colleagues at MSNBC's Keith Olbermann, upon discovering that the liberal drive time host Don Lemon had been removed and revamped to a failing morning show, called him a TV fascist. The uninformed vitriol that so Olbermann, who was also reduced to tweeting from his dog's account by Elon Musk, which is hilarious, called Chris Licht, the new head of CNN, for trying to save the network, called him a fascist. The uninformed vitriol, especially from the left, has been stunning, Licht said, describing exactly this kind of reaction, which proves my point. So much of what passes for news is name-calling, half-truths, and desperation. Way to go, Godspeed, sir, at remaking CNN. This guy came from the Colbert Show, so we didn't have any hope in him, but he has made some good decisions. CNN would be lucky to get you, Colbert said. You're my friend. I'm telling you not to go. Okay, well, weird. But this guy has, again, fired some of our all-time favorites. Brian Stelter, Chris Cillizza. These people are now without a job, standing in bread lines. Has Jim Acosta been fired yet, ALX? Is Jim Acosta fired? I don't know. We'll see. Ladies and gentlemen, we always try and end our show with good news. So here's some good news. The Supreme Court has ordered that Title 42 stay in place. Title 42, of course, was struck down by a lower court. This is the last thread that keeps our borders from becoming an absolute third world chaos. The Supreme Court has essentially kept it in place. This is a sort of like COVID pandemic order that said that you need to be expelled from the border like immediately. So does immigration law. The Biden regime wants to create this chaos. The answers are pretty evident if you look at exactly how they intend on winning in the future as it pertains to mail-in voting and unlimited voting and the voting of people who are not American citizens. You'll notice in leftist hotspots, they push for people who are not American citizens to be able to vote. This is happening in New York. This is happening in L.A. This is a play for permanent power, and this is why the border is in total and complete chaos. Thank God that the Supreme Court once again has stepped in to keep the thread, the thin veneer of some type of rule and law and order on the border at play. We'll see exactly what happens next. We do know that the January 6th committee expressed their weeping, sobbing, and crying, and salty, molten tears. They demanded that the DOJ prosecute Donald Trump. Why did they want this, and how excited were they to recommend this. Well, they were so excited that they themselves demanding the DOJ put Donald Trump in handcuffs. And why? I mean, this is a little strange. Like, exactly what crimes did he commit? Well, it turns out that Donald Trump himself is a sex criminal. That's right. And they said it on camera many, many times, that Donald Trump himself got everyone so excited, that he inspired, nay, led an erection at the U.S. Capitol. Go.
Former President Trump incited an erection.
He worked to incite an erection.
There is no comparison to inciting an erection.
Into inciting an erection.
They feel if a president has incited an erection.
For inciting the erection.
Incited the erection.
Someone who just incited an erection.
Did incite an erection on the Capitol.
For inciting that deadly erection.
Okay, so, yeah, who cares? Like, literally, they said that Donald Trump hurt our feelings, so we're going to refer him to the DOJ. This is, again, classic vertically integrated Marxism. This is called a Soviet show trial. These were famous throughout the 90 years of the Soviet Union's existence. The Soviet show trial was a trial that was meant to come to an independent and organic conclusion, a fair, just conclusion. They were always and completely total BS. They were preordained operations and consensus by the state party in order to issue the tenets and diktats of the state party. The rulings of the trial were determined before the trial even commenced, and they were always going to refer Donald Trump for criminal prosecution. Why? What are they referring Donald Trump for? Well, because of statements he made. Derp. We're going to get him on because of the First Amendment. Liz Cheney. And the report's 154-page made at a public hearing found that Trump engaged in multi-part conspiracy to overturn the election, purposely disseminating false allegations of voter fraud, pressuring Congress, Justice Department, and his own vice president to subvert the results so that he could stay in power. This is what they say. Let me make something very clear to you in conclusion of our show today. There's only one force that was subverting the election. There was only one force inside of our federal government that was actually working for Donald Trump at the time, inside the DOJ and the FBI, working to censor the President of the United States. According to the Twitter files, we know this. Donald Trump's own administration, and Donald Trump needs to be asked this question. Call it what it is. Let's rip the veneer off. We haven't endorsed anyone, and we're not going to endorse anyone for 2024. We're going to throw punches on this show. Donald Trump needs to be asked this. It was your own FBI and your own DOJ that was acting to censor you. What are you going to do about that? How are you going to stop that from happening again? We know this. Who does the FBI answer to? The FBI is simply a presidential order. It's an executive order. The FBI can be done away with by the pen. Donald Trump could, stroke of a pen, do away with the FBI. These people work at the pleasure of the president. That's why Donald Trump can just go in and change the FBI director anytime he wants to. Donald Trump just straight up fired Comey. Comey had to fly back private. He was flying around on the private jet, FBI private jet. Comey had to fly back private. Because Donald Trump, one morning, is just you're no longer working here. And he can do that to anyone. Anybody. It was his own government that was sabotaging him. In case you're wondering where the actual interference in the election came from. In case you're wondering where the overturning and the false where the false allegations and dissemination of false allegations come from. It's the censorship of the Hunter Biden laptop. But this is the game they want us to play. This is the game they want us to play. Okay? I know you are, but what am I? I know you are, but what am I? This is again, they accuse you of what they are doing. And it becomes maddening. And the only way to actually punish these people is to take power from them. We're cautiously optimistic about Kevin McCarthy. We are deeply optimistic about Harmeet Dillon taking back power inside the RNC, desperate and must be done. And we are always optimistic about the future of this country because we know that this country is guided and destined not by these freaks, these mentally ill lizard people, but by God himself. And that he is in charge. And that is something to always remember at Christmas time. Take a deep breath. gather with your family, know that God is in control, and that these people aren't in control. These people, they fancy themselves as kings. There's only one king. There's only one king. And he's always had a heart for America. As Ben Franklin said, if a sparrow cannot fall without God's notice, how can an empire rise without his aid? America is impossible without God. And this is a nation that has always, in dark times, sought God and prayed for salvation. And you know what? God's come through for us through thick and thin. And so that's what you need to be focused on during the Christmas miracle time in this season. Don't get downtrodden. Don't get disheartened. And find the comfort and the need to fight on, the strength to fight on, in the power that will never let you down. The Republican Party will let you down. And the people inside the Republican Party are deeply flawed. But look to heaven, ladies and gentlemen. Appeal to heaven, as they would say in our sweet, glorious American Revolution. You'll find your answers there. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching today. We have our priorities on the show. God, family, country, obviously. And we are free men and women. We're going to stay that way. We're going to stay that way because we're going to fight. That's what we do on this show. Offense all the time. Go, go, go. My name is Benny Johnson, and this is The Benny Show. See ya.